Welcome to FJ's Trainer Ghoul. Unexplored. Gambling. Guns in the anime. Reggie Steele's Salute. Dexit. Power World. The US government doing parodies. And these are just some of the real world things you've likely heard over the years if you're a fan of Pokemon. Or perhaps you're just online in general. What are the other notable Pokemon or Pokemon related things that have made a blemish on Pokemon's good name over the years? Whether it be mock games or giving children seizures, some of these you may have heard of since they're pretty big and pretty old now, but some not so much, and some you may just want to forget, just like Nintendo wants you to do. For this Halloween, the shareholders, though, are the ones I'll be sending shivers down the spines of. No sponsors here, so smash that bell button and like that subscribe button as FJ's Trainer School, or if you will, Ghoul, Unexplored, delves into the world of Pokemon Creates Controversy. PETA loves taking away from actual animal rights activists thanks to their heavy-handed messages, and the fact that they take on video games in the same way the media does, blaming them for things that they don't really cause. This is pretty much what the media's turned into over the years. Thanks, America. Over the years, they've hit Super Meat Boy, PETA that is, Cooking Mama, and Super Mario himself. I didn't even know about Cooking Mama's transgressions. That's pretty messed up to go after a hardworking mother like that, though, I think. They've also gone after Pokemon at least twice now. These games are Pokemon Black and Blue and also Pokemon Red, White, and Blue. These games follow Pikachu as he has escaped from Ash and is now taking on the likes of drunk Charon or saving Miltank from being slaughtered at a slaughterhouse. Just the true subtlety of a flaming Balgo. Poop on the ground. PETA is right though, unfortunately, that especially in America, we give the animals we use for food some of the most vile ways to live out their lives. Hell, even the animals we use for eggs and milk are kept in a gulag. Well, PETA's message is, yes, a good one. They always go and fumble at the 1 yard line to make everyone groan and buy an extra pound of ground beef that week, just as a little bit of spite for dinner. Jinx, portrayed by Robert Downey Jr., is a pretty big one because it was just so silly and obvious to the country with terrible ties to slavery and racism. You see, Jinx used to be fully black with the same red lipstick. Not like her design wasn't even seen before in anime or media, since at around that time too, you may have seen Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball. While Mr. Popo is not a bad guy or anything, much like Jinx is just a Pokemon, Mr. Popo's most certainly not a minstrel show character or anything like that either. The imagery of Mr. Popo and Jinx are very much still that of dolls that I can't say the name of since it's a racial slur. This is the problem with Jinx's design. Obvious, because the Japanese don't have the natural, unfiltered freedom, love, God-given talent for racism like the US does. Jinx is a product of the late 80s and early to mid 90s where Japan was just kind of doing its thing. They likely didn't even think that Pokemon could ever blow up the way it did over here. They might not have even had any inkling that this was racist to begin with. But all's well that ends well, at least in Jinx's case, because now she's purple and only offensive towards one race. The Grimace race. Don't be fucking racist. Just don't. You've seen the medallion, and you've seen the person behind it too. I'm willing to bet you want to unlearn most things you've learned about Christine Chan, formerly Chris Chan. They're arguably the most dedicated lolcow in the internet's short but robust history just far. Skip ahead a bit if you don't want to have this curse to knowledge though. Sonic Chew nonetheless, is a symbol of a generation based on Christine's own design and titular character comic of the same name. Sonic Chew is a mutated Pikachu that is turned into Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic Chew is up to issue 16, but thus far has not yet appeared in the pages that have been released, the last of which were back in 2017. While Sonic Chew is much more Sonic-pilled than Pikachu, I still think it sends shivers down the spines of the stockholders when they hear echoes from the ether about that fateful woman who is famous for, quote, not having a Wikipedia page due to it being impossible to fairly moderate by Wikipedia contributors, being involved in a hit and run, claiming that they are a, quote, goddess meant to bring about a convergence of dimensions. This is in reference to our real world, reality, in Sonic Chew's world, becoming one. Macing a GameStop employee during an argument about Sonic's arm color. And finally, one of the biggest ones, having to go to jail for, hold on one second. Several incestuous encounters with their mother. And yes, since getting out of jail in 2023, they are still very active on Twitter and YouTube, thus keeping Geno Samuel awake at night thinking about the next eventual video that will need to be produced. The Porygon line is one of the best Pokemon lines in the series, in my opinion, which is why Pikachu marring its original anime debut and relegating it to persona non grata when it came to the media. In episode 38, or what it was dubbed in Japan, quote, Pokemon Shock, caused nearly 700 seizures, mostly to children, and has never been re-aired since. Here's Porygon to talk about it.
I've never been in a Pokemon anime episode since, thanks to this episode. None of my family has ever been in one either.
This is all because Pikachu just had to hit Porygon's health missiles with an electric attack. This poor group of Pokemon hasn't had their due in the annals of the Pokemon anime catalog since.
I don't know how it got around that I even caused any of this, when it was clear we were just trying to help. Not like we sent the electric blast to our own missiles.
I reached out to Pikachu's representatives for comments and got no response as of this recording.
I suspect Pikachu has dirt on the higher-ups of Pokemon, which is why incidents like this even happen. Remember what they did to Kadabra and their family with that Magic Man? As well as impacting Tentacruel's family thanks to change from Team Rocket and another?
Well, I can't commit to thinking this is all thanks to the head mouse in charge. It's hard to deny how much Pikachu and others can get away with, while the Pokemon that they impact get doubly punished. Hashtag free Porygon. It's time to Pokemon go to the polls, baby. This game was a revolution for the world from its release in 2016. And even still to this day, governments would surely never use Pokemon for political agendas, right? Though, obviously not as big as those first couple of years nowadays. But when a fad pops up, and especially nowadays, since the world is 100% recorded, it also means everything blows up in spectacular fashion. And boy, did people not disappoint in the absolute savagery. Add to the fact that this is a smartphone game. So while you're catching Weedles, you can also record yourself potentially breaking laws or even moral codes. For example, in 2016, not long after the game's release, something odd was happening. Not like gameplay-wise or anything, but more where some Pokestops were placed were drawing ire. The biggest likely being the Holocaust Museum in DC in the United States. Nothing like honoring the deaths of many innocent lives while catching a shiny Charizard on some event day. There were also multiple stops that were on train tracks and allowed people to cash in while they were driving their cars. This leads me right into the fact that there have been many cases of people passing away while playing Pokemon Go, usually out of distraction. There are reports of people falling off a 90-foot bluff near the ocean. A couple of young adults in Guatemala were gunned down while playing the game, and even in Japan itself, there was a distracted driver that ended up hitting two people crossing the street, hurting one seriously and killing another. Are the lawsuits and depravity with Pokemon Go done? Not at all, my friend. In Russia, a 21-year-old blogger received a 3-year prison sentence for playing Pokemon Go in a church, while in New York, registered sex offenders were banned from playing altogether. Pokemon Go is far from its heyday, but I do have some breaking news for y'all. Sources indicate that ICE is sponsoring the next Pokemon Go raid event, and it's going to be called Pokemon Go! Back across the border. But yeah, fuck ICE. This video is chock full of likely controversial statements and situations that I've said and or presented myself. So let's add some more. This is gonna be a little schizo mode for a bit, so fair warning, I'm a more progressive American, and while murder is categorically 100% a bad thing to do, many times it's very easy to be sympathetic to the plight of the people doing these acts. For a lot of the world, while it may not be perfect, you can get your body and health checked up and on and fixed without it changing the course of your entire life. This is America though, baby! So if you get sick or shot or filled with cancer, then boy are you donezo for the rest of your life if you got enough money to pay for all those exorbitant hospital bills. Going on a year ago now, in December of 2024, it was reported that the CEO of United Healthcare had been shot with a homemade gun in New York City. 5 days later, Luigi Mangione was arrested in Pennsylvania and is now in New York City awaiting trial. Breloom. This little guy went viral on my more video game side of social media, since on Mangione's Twitter account, his profile banner contained a picture of a Breloom. This is where the Bunnelby hole leads to 286. 286 is Breloom's national dex number, and not to mention, it learns moves such as Bullet Seed and Close Combat. But don't worry, this Jim Carrey numbers obsession doesn't end here. 286 seems to be a central theme for Mangione. It was the number of tweets on his account before getting arrested. In the Bible, Proverbs 28:6 states that, quote, "Better is the poor who walks in his integrity than one perverse in his ways, though he be rich." Sure seems like insert CEO's name here is not doing right by humanity in general, and that could be to blame. It's also alleged that the McDonald's he was arrested at in Pennsylvania was 286 miles from New York City. More notably, it was pointed out by another Twitter user that 286 is also a denial code that healthcare companies can use to deny you based on appeal processes due to time limits. We're going deep, baby! Which is what I assume all these pictures in his banner are likely somewhat leading to. Breloom encompasses fighting back with the dex number of 286. The healthcare code that could have denied him health for what appears to be some sort of back problem, and the x-rays that are there as well. While he shouldn't be praised for his action, he should be commended for shining more light on the American system that needs to be severely reworked. Can you just imagine if our healthcare system in the US was like in the Pokemon world? You simply have to walk into a Pokemon Center and be offered help with no strings attached up front. Truly an ideal situation. Well, aside from the needing to resurrect Breloom from the totally normalized animal fighting. Wait,